like I said, thank you so much for joining today. My name is Louise and I am coming to you live from our head office in Cairns today. We are recording today's webinar and it will be sent as a recorded version to everyone that's registered. So you can share these with your family and your friends. We do have, or if we have any video footage, I actually don't think this one does, but if we do, it just depends on your device and the connection, but it may just, the sound might play a little bit weird, but it'll be in the recorded version anyway. The recorded version gets sent around usually between 24 and 48 hours after the session. So yeah, feel free to share that around with everyone that you know, that's fine. I also just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to join our Borneo webinar today, and we'll have an opportunity for questions at the end. So today's focus is going to take you on a journey with Coral Expeditions to give you an insight into our Into the Wilds of Borneo itinerary and all the incredible things that we'll do and see. So for those of you that are new to Coral Expeditions, we have been operating for 40 years now, and it's always with a single purpose. So that's to take small groups of like-minded explorers to really remote places with expert guides and our warm Australian hospitality. So we'll start our Borneo journey now. So as I mentioned, we've been operating for 40 years. So we have been doing it for a really long time and we are really good at what we do. Once you're on board, I promise you'll love it. We always get a 5 out of 5 star. This year, we got a 5 out of 5 star rating from 96% of our guest feedback. So we're really proud of that. So expedition cruising, if you're new to it, it is for travellers seeking a more intimate adventure on smaller ships into remote destinations, which are just inaccessible by larger cruise lines. So due to our vessel's smaller size, guests on board an expedition cruise can really look forward to, not having the queues and no waiting times and great opportunity to experience the destination. And it's just a far more authentic journey. So something in that expedition cruising means we're flexible as well. So our itineraries always leave room so that if something in nature does present itself, we can sit there, be in that moment and really watch and, just really be in that moment. So all of our itineraries are designed so that you can really discover unique and remote destinations. And we always try to spend more time ashore because, let's face it, that's what you've gone on that trip for, is to go to that destination. And yeah, we like to spend as much time ashore as possible. So our expedition team, they all provide local expertise and they all have a really strong understanding of the unique landscapes, the flora and fauna, and the Indigenous cultures of the regions that we're visiting. So our expedition leaders are on board and they take our guests on every excursion. We don't hand over to land-based tour companies. And if we ever go with a land-based tour company, especially in places like Indonesia, our expedition team are with you the entire time as well. So the shore excursions will generally have 2 options, and it could vary from an easy coastal walk, or it could be a more challenging hike on some uneven grounds to a viewing point or a point of interest. Or it could be a nice coastal cruise wildlife spotting. So there's always something for everyone. We always go into each destination with a really deep respect and understanding of the communities and cultures that we're visiting. And we really love to engage with the local communities as well. So on board our ships, you'll find an all Australian and New Zealand crew, which means you'll have that really warm Australian hospitality the entire time you're on that voyage. So on board, we encourage a natural Australian style service and a really open interaction between our guests and our crew. So you'll be able to watch your dinner being prepared with the local ingredients by our chefs. We do have an open galley policy. Or you might like to go into the bridge and have a chat with the captain or your morning coffee and see what the night sailing was like. Or you might like to join our guest lecturers at meal times and pick their brains. Or you might just want to sit back and relax and read a book and enjoy the views in one of our alfresco areas around the ship. We are all-inclusive as well, so once you're on board, you unpack once and you can enjoy your expedition and don't have to worry about anything hidden at the end. So on board all of our ships, we have our explorers. We call these our safari jeeps of the sea, and these are really accessible to everyone. These are a key component to our trips, and this is what we use for our shore excursions every day. So to get on board our explorers, you'll see in that top right picture, there's a lady just simply walking across a little platform. That is how you enter our explorers. There's no climbing, there's no steps. You just walk straight across a platform and you take a seat. All of our seats have nice arched backs on them, so you're not sitting in those zodiacs on the bench seats uncomfortable all day. They're quite comfy seats. There's also a roof over the top as well, so we're protected from the sun We also have clears that come down the sides of the Explorers. So if we do run into some wind or some rain, we can put those clears down and we're still really comfortable and you can still see the 360 view around the Explorer. There's also an audio system as well. So our guest lecturers and our expedition team will do some commentary along the way. So you'll be able to hear that nice and clearly. There's also a toilet on board. So we're not having to head back to the larger ship, to our mothership. It's just there for remote convenience. But yeah, so it's super convenient. And to get off our Explorers, especially on a wet landing, like you can see in that top left picture, the nose of our Explorer just comes down and you walk off a little ramp and our expedition team are side by side to guide you off with ease. So yeah, super safe, really accessible, and yeah, they're amazing. They're actually really fun as well. They go really fast, so it's pretty great. We do still have our inflatable Zodiacs. They just provide another exciting and flexible option for shore excursions. And they just help us navigate those narrow inlets and waterways. They're also really great to get close to nature. But they go side by side, our Explorers, all the time, so you're never in them for too long. Now, on our Indonesia trips as well, we have lots of snorkeling and dive opportunities. Snorkeling is included, dive is an optional extra, but from memory, it's only about $120, I want to say, from last time I was on board. So yes, it's not going to break the bank. So I'm just going to touch on our ship really quickly. They are purpose-built expedition ships and they are made for subtropical climates. They feature wraparound decks, private balconies on some of our staterooms and our outdoor dining areas, so you can enjoy those beautiful views. We've got a shallow draft, and which will let us get into inlets and sheltered bays that the larger ships just can't access. So all of our rooms as well are outward facing, so you'll never miss out on that view either. So this specific itinerary that you're going to be on, the Into the Wilds of Borneo, will be on our Coral Geographer. She's a beautiful ship. This is the ship that I went on when I did my trip. We got her in March 2021, so she is our newest to the fleet as well. So she has 60 staterooms and a maximum of 120 people. But yeah, 6 suites. It has an internal lift that goes all the way to the Vista Bar on the top deck. And as I mentioned earlier, all the rooms are outward facing, so you'll never miss out on the view. There is also a little gym on board as well, this one. So I am going to hand over to one of our guest lecturers, Gary. He is our Indonesia expert, and he's actually going to be on this trip as well. So if you are going to be on board this itinerary and you're just watching this to scrub up on your knowledge, you'll also get to see Gary on board. So I'll hand over to you, Gary. And yeah, I'm here if you need me.
Well, thank you, Lou. It's great to be part of this lecture right now, or this walkthrough for our trip. My name is Gary Shapiro. I'm somebody who's had some deep experience on the island of Borneo over the last 46 years. And I'm so happy to be one of the guest lecturers aboard the Coral Geographer on this upcoming trip. So I'd like just to walk through some of the itinerary, and I'll just talk from some notes that I have, but basically I'd like us to just go from Kuching all the way to Banjarmasin. We'll talk about that. So Lou, if you could move it to the next slide. Oh, well, before we get there, I guess we'll spend a day on the sea during Christmas. We leave, I guess, on the 24th from Singapore. So we'll be traveling on Christmas itself. Great time to drink and get to know each other. But the following day, we can go to the next slide. We will arrive in Kuching. Now, fun fact, the word Kuching actually means cat in the Malay or Indonesian language. And indeed, there are cats wandering around the city, and there's some amazing statues of cats in that beautiful town. One of the places we'll be visiting in Kuching itself is the, what do you call it? The Borneo Cultural Museum. We'll do that on the second day, but we'll be going to Bako National Park when I guess on the first full day. They call it the second day, but we'll arrive, we'll have a chance to maybe look around a little bit of the city, and then we'll go to Bako. Now, what you're looking at right there is a proboscis monkey. It's only found on the island of Borneo, so it's considered endemic there. Another fun fact about proboscis monkeys, they have webbed feet, hind feet, and they have a body shape like a keel of a ship. So that allows them to swim across the water very quickly to try to escape crocodiles. This has been one of the selective aspects of their evolution is trying to avoid being eaten by crocodiles. And so we'll be seeing them both in hopefully in Bako National Park and elsewhere on the trip. Um, and at the park, we'll be doing some hiking as well. There's a number of trails we'll be able to take. According to your level of stamina, we can travel upwards to over an hour or so on different trails. Okay, next slide, please. Now, the next major town we're going to go to is Pontianak. And Pontianak is in West Kalimantan, Indonesia. Whereas, of course, the last place we were at in Sarawak is in Malaysia, on the state of Sarawak. But in Pontianak, and I've been here many times. In fact, I was just here in Pontianak 2 months ago, giving out scholarships to students as part of my organization's program. So I had a chance to visit some of the places there. But one of the things that's interesting about Pontianak is that it's the only major city in the world that's located on the equator. So we'll have a chance to actually visit the monument, the Equator Monument, while we're there, as well as visit a number of mosques and other kinds of centers where we can see the local culture. Next slide, please. Now, Karimata Island, I've never been there before, but it is a place where we'll stop and enjoy the sun, the sand, snorkeling, and just relaxing. That's one of the benefits of going to a place like this. It's also probably interesting to note that this is located between the island of Sumatra and Borneo. And another fun fact, during the last major ice age that we had around 20,000 years ago, the water level had dropped like over 400 feet. And so you could literally walk from Sumatra to this island and all the way to Borneo. It was all covered with vegetation. And in terms of orangutans, the animal that I'm quite familiar with, the orangutan migrations from Sumatra to Borneo were taking place at that time. Okay, next slide. Okay, now we're going to Kumai Bay. This is a place I know very well. I first went out there in 1978 when I was doing my research on orangutans, and I'll be lecturing about that on board. I have the distinction of being the only person in the world to have taught sign language to any great ape in its natural environment. I spent 2 years in Tanjung Puting, before it was a national park, teaching sign language to a number of the resident ex-captive orangutans. But what we'll be doing is visiting Tanjung Puting. We'll be going, I guess, on the first day up the Sungai Bulu River to look at some of the environment in that along that area. It's actually a river that I visited back in 1979 as part of an expedition where we discovered a place called Bird Lake. And this was never really described before. And we were able to describe it and publish papers about it. It's one of the reasons why the reserve was turned into a national park. But on the second day, we're going to go up the river to Pondok Tinggui. And can we go to the next slide, please? Oh, I was just mentioning, I added these slides, just showing you some of the residents of this area of the Sekonyer River, because that's where we'll be traveling on the second day. And you can see we have crocodiles there and proboscis monkeys, and you may be lucky and see rhinoceros hornbills and some of the other bird life that we have there. Next slide. And this is Pondak Tungui. It's one of the areas, one of the orangutan viewing areas we'll be visiting. And this is Duyok, one of the residents who was there a number of years ago when I visited. Um, and it's a great place to go and actually see orangutans being provisioned, because from time to time they come in to the area to obtain a little bit of an extra food when the fruiting season isn't so great. But when there is fruit in the forest, they are frequently out foraging on their own. So I think we'll be lucky when we go out there. It'll be that time of year when there may be um, a need to have them provisioned. So uh, that's at Pondunk Tungui. And then later on, we'll be going up to Camp Leakey, where I spent my time. And that's a famous area where orangutans have been studied now for almost 50 years. Okay, next slide. Now we're going to also visit Pangkalanbun. It's the major city where you'd fly into if you were taking a plane to visit the orangutans. And I don't know if we'll be seeing these dancers from the Dayak community nearby, but there is a bit of culture in the area that we'll be able to explore. And if we go to the next slide, we'll have a chance to visit the Yellow Palace, which is the residence of the Sultan of Kota Waringin when it was moved to Pangkalanbun. And I had a chance to visit the palace a couple of months ago when I took a group out there myself. It's a very interesting historic area, and we'll have a chance to visit the palace when we're there. Okay, next slide, please. Just like we visited the other island, we're going to go to Bawean Island for, again, an opportunity to rest and relax, do some beach combing, and just enjoy the day at this beautiful little island. Next slide, please. Well, we'll be finishing our expedition uh, in the city of Banjarmasin. Now, Banjarmasin is a very beautiful historic area with quite a few places to visit, including what you're seeing in front of here, the floating market. And there's a couple of them we'll be trying to check out while we're there. It's a place where um, trading has been going on for hundreds of years, especially with precious gems. And it's, diamonds and other minerals have been traded from this city for hundreds of years. It's also a great place to visit for food and for enjoying some of the sites like the the textile makers. We have some galleries to visit, and so we'll spend I think a couple of days here, if I'm not mistaken, um, enjoying the scenery and the life that goes on the river, as well as some of the other sites. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And maybe Lou, you have some thoughts you'd like to ask to add to this?
That was really great. Thank you so much for sharing. You have beautiful knowledge on Indonesia and Borneo. Yeah, is there any questions from the floor? There is one question that's come through. Just asking if we have towels on board. Yes, we do have towels on board. Yes, our expedition team will take towels on every excursion that you go on. So yes, you don't have to worry about that. We do always recommend taking a backpack with you in case you want to, change shoes if they get a little bit wet, or if you want to take like a little windbreaker or and a bottle of water. So yes, always. We just got one from Deborah saying, thanks, Gary and Louise. Just a question about the weather. What is it likely to be like in that area during December, January? Gary, that'd be a good question for you.
Yeah, it can rain. It'll be during the rainy season. So there could be moments of rain, and even during the dry season, there are times where it'll rain. Uh, Weather patterns have changed, though, again, because of what's had been happening globally. And what I was studying years ago in Borneo, I actually did a 6-month study of the river, the Sekonyer River, as part of a postdoctoral study I did on my own. And I've noticed that since those days, almost 40 years ago, the uh, the weather patterns have shifted. So, it may be drier during the time we're out there, but it's technically during the rainy season.
Perfect. Hope that answers your question, Deborah. Vivian's just asking, how similar is this expedition to the one in November that goes from Manila to Singapore? Gary, are you familiar with the itinerary for the Manila to Singapore? It's called the Equatorial Adventure Across North Borneo.
Yeah, I wish I could help you on that, but I think it's something we should look into and get
That's all
back
right.
with an answer.
Yeah, that's okay. So I can just see on the map, the difference is, I mean, there's only 3 or 4 stops. So we do Kuching or Kaching, and then 3 other stops as well. But then the rest is mainly up in the Philippines. So I dare say this trip will be quite different to that one. So I hope that answers your question, Vivian. But yes, if you want to email the reservations team, which goes under explore@coralexpeditions.com, we can send you the 2 differences in itinerary, or you can find them on our website as well.
Oh, Lou,
Deborah,
by the way, can I just add something real quick?
yeah.
I forgot to mention that I'm not the only one coming along on this trip as a guest lecturer. My wife will be joining me,
Yep.
and she is going to be giving our the folks who are joining us an opportunity to do therapeutic yoga in the morning and the evenings to get them started in the morning and to kind of tone down their nervous systems at night to have a great relaxing sleep. So that's
Good way.
just one of the things we're bringing to the ship in December.
Yep. It's a good way to start and finish the day. So you got that to look forward to on board. We just have another question here from Deborah Jackson, just asking, is that monsoon season?
We don't really have monsoons in Borneo. It's really kind of unusual. It's really monsoons are typical of the peninsula of the area and of course the subcontinent, but we don't have monsoonal situations. There will be, like I said, a rainy period, but it's not the classic monsoons.
That is good to know. Karen's also asking, do we need coral shoes for snorkeling? There will be little booties that you can wear in the water on board, but you are welcome to bring your own as well. But you'll probably have your fins on. But yeah, it'll be advised as well once you're on board as well. When you've got fins on, really try not to stand on those coral reefs. Another question from Terry and Jan. Has there been much damage to wildlife populations due to palm oil plantations?
Well, I think that's something that a lot of people are aware of, that historically, in fact, over the past like 25 years, there's been a tremendous impact on orangutan populations and wildlife in general because of the conversion of rainforests into estate plantations, particularly oil palm plantations. So, yes, there is. Borneo has really been receiving the brunt of it as compared to, say, Sumatra, which went through a lot of its conversion like 80 or more years ago. But over the last, say, 25 to 30 years on Borneo, it has been a major impact on the populations of different animals out there. So right now, of course, with the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil and many other efforts, including moratoriums on the conversion of forests into plantations, there has been a decrease in deforestation over the past 4 or 5 years, and that's a good sign. But you'll be probably seeing evidence of this as we take our trip. You'll be seeing some, if you fly in, Over the area, you can see it. If you ever take a look on Google Maps, you can see palm oil plantations surrounding Tanjung Puting National Park. But from our perspective, we won't be seeing much of that actually.
Cool. All right, perfect. That was a really good answer. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I think that's all the questions. Oh, actually, we've just got one more, sorry. From Ellie, just asking if we'll be running this trip again for 2025, 2026 again. Our schedule is actually going to be released in the next couple of weeks. So we'll, I'm not 100% sure yet, Ellie. I believe it is in the plan, but yeah, definitely keep an eye on our website because they will be coming out very soon. And Gary, Terry's just said thank you, and so has Vivian for your answers. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Like I said earlier, this will be sent out to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. This will be an amazing trip. It's definitely on my bucket list. I'm trying to get on board. But you are going to have a wonderful time. Gary is just a wealth of knowledge on this area. So make sure if you're on board with him that you absolutely pick his brain. And yeah, enjoy your trip if you're going. And if you're thinking of going, this is your sign to go. It's going to be an amazing trip. But yeah, thanks everyone and have a lovely afternoon.
Thanks, Lou. I look forward to seeing everybody on board.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.
Bye-bye.